Delivery drivers, they're doing the Kool-Aid Man challenge to kill you. The notification pinged on my phone. Your DoorDash order has been picked up. I sighed, relieved. Dinner was sorted. Another night, another meal outsourced to the gig economy. My life post-divorce was a carefully curated collection of conveniences. Convenience masked the loneliness. It had been quiet since David moved out. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that made you hear things that probably weren't there. I glanced at the security camera display on my laptop. Just the empty porch, bathed in the orange glow of the streetlights. The driver, a young guy with a baseball cap pulled low, arrived in a beat-up Honda Civic. He hopped out, grabbed my bag from the passenger seat and approached my porch. Nothing unusual. Except, he stopped halfway up the walkway. He just stood there, staring at my house. Not at the porch or the door, but at the second-floor windows. For a long, uncomfortable moment. Then he shook his head, as if snapping out of a trance, and hurried to place the bag on the porch. He rang the bell, a short, abrupt jab, and practically sprinted back to his car. He peeled out of the driveway, tires squealing. I frowned. Weird. I opened the door, grabbed my lukewarm pad thai, and checked the doorbell camera footage. The recording confirmed what I'd seen. His prolonged stare was unsettling. Probably just tired, I muttered to myself, trying to rationalize it. I microwaved the noodles and settled in front of the TV, attempting to lose myself in a mindless sitcom. The next day, an Amazon package arrived. The delivery driver, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, left it on the porch, but as she walked away, she paused, turned back and adjusted the package so it was facing my front door. Deliberately facing it. It felt pointed. I shook it off. Coincidence. I was probably just on edge, but then it started happening more. A UPS driver left a package at the wrong address, then stood across the street, watching my house for 10 minutes before finally retrieving it. A FedEx driver took an unnecessarily long route to my house, driving slowly past my windows twice before finally pulling into the driveway. Each incident was small, insignificant on its own, but the cumulative effect was unnerving. I started documenting them, noting the dates, times, and descriptions of the drivers. Maria, my best friend, thought I was being paranoid. "Sarah, you're working from home all the time," she said over the phone. "You're just noticing things you wouldn't normally see. It's probably just coincidence. Maybe you need to get out more." David was even less helpful. "Maybe you should try meditation, Sarah. This sounds like anxiety." He meant well, but his tone was dismissive, like I was overreacting. Then came the notes, scrawled on the delivery slips or tucked inside the packages. The first one was innocuous. Enjoy. Underneath, in smaller writing, "We see you." I dismissed it as a creepy joke. But then came the second, "Be careful." And the third, "They're watching." My anxiety went into overdrive. I started sleeping with a kitchen knife under my pillow. I jumped at every sound. I checked the security cameras obsessively. I Googled delivery driver pranks. That's when I stumbled upon it. Buried deep in some conspiracy forum, a thread about a Kool-Aid Man challenge. The details were vague, fragmented, and disturbing. It was some kind of twisted game where delivery drivers competed to see how far they could push boundaries, how much they could disrupt their targets' lives before what? The posts didn't say, but the implication was terrifying. One post mentioned breaching the walls. Another talked about breaking through. I showed the forum to Detective Miller, a weary, middle-aged cop who looked like he'd seen too much. He listened patiently, but his eyes were skeptical. "Ma'am, with all due respect, this sounds like a bunch of internet nonsense. We get all kinds of theories from the internet. I need something concrete." I felt a surge of frustration. I had something concrete. I had a file full of documented incidents, strange notes, and unsettling security camera footage. But to him it was just circumstantial. "Just look into it," I pleaded. He sighed. "I'll make a note of it, ma'am." The incidents escalated. One night, a delivery truck parked across the street, its headlights shining directly into my bedroom window. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, the truck was gone. Then a delivery driver deliberately backed into my mailbox, smashing it to pieces. He claimed it was an accident, but his eyes were cold, devoid of any remorse. He just stared at me as he drove away. I was losing it. Sleep-deprived, paranoid, and increasingly isolated. I felt like I was living in a horror movie. I installed more security cameras, covering every angle of my property. The footage was chilling. Drivers lingering too long, packages being deliberately misplaced, vans circling my block repeatedly. One driver in particular stood out. He was young, maybe in his early 20s, with a shaved head and an unsettlingly blank expression. He seemed to be everywhere. He delivered packages for different companies, always with the same dead-eyed stare. He was becoming my personal boogeyman. One afternoon, I was working at my computer when I heard a loud crash from downstairs. My heart leaped into my throat. I grabbed the kitchen knife and crept down the stairs. The back door was splintered, hanging off its hinges. The young driver with the shaved head was standing in my kitchen, his face expressionless. "Wrong house," he said, his voice flat. He turned to leave, but I lunged at him, swinging the knife. He blocked my arm easily, his grip surprisingly strong. "You need help," he said, pushing me away. He stepped over the broken door and walked out of my life. I slammed the door and locked it. Then I went to my computer and pulled up the security footage. The driver's face was clear, unmistakable. I sent it to Detective Miller with an urgent message. He called me back an hour later. "Miss Johnson, we've identified the suspect. His name is... well, that doesn't matter right now. We're going to bring him in for questioning." I felt a sliver of relief. Finally, someone was taking me seriously. That night, I received a phone call. The number was blocked. I hesitated, then answered it. A distorted, electronically altered voice spoke. "Sarah Johnson?" My blood ran cold. "Who is this?" "You've been chosen," the voice said. "You're part of the challenge now. There's no escape." The line went dead. I tried to call the police, but the phone line was dead. My internet was down. I was completely cut off. I looked out the window. Several delivery trucks were parked on my street, blocking both ends. More were pulling up, their headlights illuminating my house like a stage. It was a coordinated effort, a siege. Detective Miller arrived, sirens blaring, but it was too late. The drivers swarmed his car, blocking him in. They were everywhere. I knew I had to get out. I grabbed my purse, my phone useless as it was, and ran out the back door into the woods behind my house. The woods were dark and dense, the trees skeletal against the night sky. I stumbled through the underbrush, branches tearing at my clothes, the sounds of pursuit echoing behind me. I could hear the drivers crashing through the trees, their voices low and menacing. They were hunting me. I tripped and fell, scraping my knees and elbows. I scrambled to my feet and kept running, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I reached the edge of the woods, emerging onto a deserted highway. I saw headlights approaching in the distance, a car. I ran towards the road, waving my arms frantically. "Help, please, help me." The car slowed down as it approached. It was a delivery truck. The young driver with the shaved head was behind the wheel. He was smiling. As the truck accelerated towards me, I heard a whisper from the darkness, a voice that seemed to be inside my head. The challenge continues.